I don't need to touch them. Hello, folks. Greetings. Good afternoon, good evening. For those of you in the food line, you can just continue on. We are casual. And a big hello to those of you who are streaming live out there in wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have all of you with us. I feel like I am at a pulpit in church. Look at all of these empty pews in the middle or in the front here. You gotta feel like we've gathered and bring some energy into this place. And I have these spotlights right on me here. I know there's some folks that will be lingering in here, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. And we've got a full agenda for the next roughly 30 minutes, and then we will be moving outside, and we'll talk through the schedule here in a little bit, but I did want to welcome all of you here with us this afternoon on this special day. We have students, we have faculty, we have community guests, we have students out there, if I didn't say our students, taking part in today's celebration of sort of an old and new Juniata. I hearken back to the fall of 2013, and I think about what I had shared in my inaugural address about the presence of Juniata. In our new strategic plan, it is one of our pillars, the presence of Juniata. In our new comprehensive campaign that we are raising over $100 million to support everything that we do here, there is language about the presence of Juniata, our national and international reach. To do this work and to reach, we needed to do a little homework, and we needed to understand how people viewed us. What are our strengths? And once we knew and understood those strengths, we would use that knowledge to tell our story in a consistent and more compelling manner. So we've been at this work, at this job, quote unquote, branding for months, some cases years, and I might argue, if you were to look back in history, probably decades. Nonetheless, our purpose today is to share the tools that we have created to join together in our commitment in telling the world, and yes, the world, about this college, our community, our home. And tell them we have. This fall, we released a video that brings together much of what we think is special about this quiet and powerful place. And to date, it has logged more than 100,000 views. And it is a fitting introduction to this college, the promise we make our students, and the special place that we inhabit here.
I chose this road, this path, my path. People ask, where are you going? Do you know what you're going to do? There are so many different directions I could take. Now I'm supposed to choose one? I am confident. I am curious. I'm ready to figure out who I am. I'm on a mysterious journey into the unknown for the first time in my life. I will explore all of its twists and turns, its side trips, its surprises. because this road leads to me. I am ready.
That's certainly nice to hear. Someone remarked to me once about that video, Neff has never looked better. And that's probably one of the key things about this work. Neff was recognizably Neff, but it was Neff at its best. I'm Gabe Welsh. I'm the Vice President for Advancement in Marketing here at Juniata. And I'm very happy to see so many people here to celebrate Juniata, but I can't presently see my notes, hence these. As President Troha intimated, we intend to build Juniata's reputation. I want to share with you quickly the story of how we got here and what is next. Many here know that the college's humility has been a historical ethos and an occasional challenge. When we asked Cognitive Marketing to help us strengthen how we tell the Juniata story, and Cognitive's with us tonight, Peter Hollerman and Josanne DiNatale are in the audience. Peter, one of the co-founders, made this astute observation, that it's a virtue to the degree that it connotes modesty and lack of pretense, but it is a liability in that it impedes celebration of accomplishment. At his inaugural, President Troha stated that the Juniata name would be better known. That promise lives in the pillar of the plan we know as presence, as he indicated. To build presence, we need to understand our brand and how to tell stories that will enhance it. Our brand is not our logo. It's the stories that people share, what others say about us and what we say about ourselves. Those stories come from our place, our quirks, and our traditions. Stories arise from our promise and declaration of intent, our shared ambition, our common truth, and of course the achievements of our graduates, both solemn and otherwise. Our brand arises from the things implied in the language and images you just viewed, and it is our achievements and the challenges we face and the common characteristics that resonate in our voices. The brand tools you see will evolve from those voices. Why are we confident in this voice? More than 4,000 people took surveys, participated in interviews, provided critique and encouragement, and told their stories. Many of the people in this room took part in that process. Parents, guidance counselors, community members, along with our alumni, students, staff, and faculty all gave voice. This work did not rebrand Juniata. That's my first instruction for you tonight. If somebody says rebrand, just no. Rather, we did not invent a brand. Or if we wanted to just invent something, we wouldn't have taken all the time that we did, nor all the care. Rather, by talking to those 4,000 different people about the commonalities of this place, this work gave us back our language. What you're going to hear tonight, and maybe you've heard already in some places, is the language that describes this place, so that we can be more powerful in how we talk about Juniata together. We start with a strong positioning statement that feels both familiar and novel about what we do, for whom, and why. Juniata College is the ideal choice for inquisitive, intentional, and interesting students who seek a college experience that will have a powerful and meaningful effect upon the entirety of their lives, and who approach their college years ready to do the work of self-discovery. In Juniata College, students find both a home and a community completely committed to their personal growth and intellectual development, a vibrant and scholarly faculty and professional staff who come to know them well and work with them intently, and a tight-knit community of other interesting and curious students, each on his or her own journey of personal discovery, many of whom will become their lifelong friends. All of this happens in a place on the planet seemingly reserved for the very purpose of fostering exploration, reflection, and transformation. Juniata College was born of a struggle of right of women and men to acquire useful knowledge that they might qualify themselves for whatever calling in life their inclinations profess. Today's Juniata College students do just that. They identify their inclinations, test their convictions, and prepare for their callings. They graduate in 4 years with more than a hard-earned, respected, and useful college degree. They take with them intellectual dexterity, courage of heart, an ease with collaboration, and a habit of self-reliance developed and matured during their Juniata College years. Juniata graduates thoughtfully guide the course of their lives, build creative and rewarding careers, and make substantive contributions to the complex and fascinating world into which they rise. Seniors in the audience, no pressure. The distillation of these ideas in our daily purpose is a promise statement that has resonated already with the many who have heard it. We promise to be our students' partners as they magnify their interests and talents, learn to navigate the global community, and design lives of meaning and happiness. The idea of partnering resonates with alumni from the 50s to students of today, among faculty and staff. People in this room know that a defining characteristic of the Juniata experience has long been partnership, the challenge and support in the dynamic between people engaged in learning. To build on that, we have 4 key messages that build on the central promise statement in our positioning language. The first is that we celebrate that this is a wonderful place to go to college, a modern oasis set amid staggering natural beauty. Our location provides all of us access to the natural world and a secure setting free of distraction with space for contemplation and inspiration, and a launch pad, both to the world and to receive the world. Our students are fun, smart, and focused, and their presence from around the nation and the world helps create our place and energize what we do. We know students with purpose arrive here, having sought this college deliberately and arriving ready to learn and expecting to discover. Our students design their own education. This can mean taking the total approach to crafting their own POE with their advisors. I talked to one of those people just before I started this. Most often, though, it is the purposeful consideration of their academic options, their activities, their choices to study away and take internships or balance multiple interests, and an early discussion with faculty and professionals. At Cognitive, we stated that the individualized POE is not our brand. Rather, it is a symptom, an expression of the flexibility that students have experienced and valued here since well before the POE was created. The POE reflects a commitment to helping students to think about who they are and to use that thinking to design their education and ultimately a life of meaning and happiness. All of this happens in a strong and supportive community that sets the expectation of participation and engagement by its members. In total, the signature of Juniata College and what we do and who we are can be encapsulated in a phrase that is both invitation and challenge, invocation and reminder. Now, in addition to this language, we've worked to make our iconography more reflective of our place and our brand. You see this all over the quad. You've seen it on new publications that have begun to come out. The components of this are significant in how they match the brand. That tower is part of the only building on our campus that every living alum and every student has entered and been a part of and touched. The Arc of Stones, which to some has suggested some resonance with the arch, are the stones that come from the Peace Chapel, which is unique to where we are and reflects the values in our heritage. That squiggly thing underneath the tower is the Juniata River. You didn't see that, did you? We are the only Brethren-affiliated college named not for the town where we reside, but for the river that runs through it, that brings the world to us and sends the world away. That it resonates with some of the things that we do here. We proudly declare our location as being in Pennsylvania. Not only does it have the effect of stopping people from saying, "Where are you?" but it proudly declares where we are in a historic and significant state. And we've been here for 141 years, which also conveys to people the seriousness and the sustainability of this enterprise. It uses our colors, established in 1902, and finally, behind the tower and through the arch created by the Peace Chapel, you see the hills, evoking not only our location, but the expectation that we will engage that location and also go beyond it and look beyond it. With that, we also have the college seal, which has retained its iconography and its character in this expression since we first adopted it in 1904. As we've done this work, we also have started sharing the story more widely. In late October, we launched a campaign of awareness for Juniata and to support enrollment and campaign efforts, largely web-based and designed to put Juniata imagery and brand stories in places where people can engage online. We have worked to animate the presence called for, encouraged to act. To date, we know more than 10 million impressions of the Juniata name have appeared in the communities around this area and across the country. The ideas, images, and stories shared tonight are also included in a small book that you can pick up tonight in Beagley Library. It is a tool we're providing to people here and the Juniata community around the globe. All of this we celebrate tonight in this quiet and powerful place, but the best way of celebrating it is to hear a few stories that exemplify our brand. To do so, we have members of the faculty and staff, an alumna, and current student here to share with us their stories. We will start with Dan Dries, Assistant Professor of Chemistry, as well as one of the faculty representatives to the Advancement and Marketing Committee of the Board of Trustees during the time that we considered the firm, chose Cognitive, and executed the brand work. Dan.
Thank you, Gabe, and thank you, everybody, for attending. As a member of the faculty, I talk with a lot of students. We talk about their successes and their challenges. We talk about their fears and their passions, and we talk about their experiences, both at home and here on our campus. In short, we talk about who they are. And I think it's safe to say that many of us, as instructors, as academic advisors, as research advisors, as mentors, we have stories in which we have helped our students talk about themselves so that they may discover their unique brilliance and craft their own unique path to success, however they define it for themselves. And we all have stories like these, and of course I'd have to share one with you. So the story I'll share with you today is about a student I first met as her academic advisor in the summer preceding her freshman year. The student was quiet and shy, and she was quite bright, and she knew she wanted to be a pediatrician. The student enrolled in the typical pre-health courses, excelling in each, and seeing her potential, I invited her to become a part of my research lab in studying Alzheimer's disease. Now, research is very typical for pre-health students. It's kind of the path, the predestined path for many pre-health students. But after a year of molecular work, molecular level work, she and I talked, and she came to me confessing that she wasn't quite interested in the stuff I was doing. Or more importantly, the stuff that she was doing in my lab, and her interest had begun to fade. See, she was interested in working with people, and the lab work with protein gels just didn't interest her anymore. So as we talked, she began to express her own interests, her interest in psychology, and the courses that she had taken in psychology. And as we talked, now knowing better who she was, the student then created her own POE in human development and found an internship in London, in which she worked with a team of nurses to treat pre-adolescent children who had complex mental health disorders. She's now in her senior year doing research in psychology and with an eye on matriculating into medical school for pediatrics. And as a pre-health advisor, I see a lot of students who come to Juniata wanting to help others, and medicine is a popular choice for doing this. But the story I just shared with you is about a student who clarified her path in these conversations and understanding who she is. But I have also had many other wonderful students who have redefined their path to helping others by moving from medicine and other tracks, such as social work, health communications. And each of these students is a success story and has a success story where by finding themselves and articulating who they are, they were able to create a path of meaning and sincerity. Drawing upon last week's convocation speech, then, they have found a way of creating and making a life, not just making a living. As Gabe noted, I served during the brand work in several capacities, from the initial brand study through its development. And throughout this work, I thought about how our brand is reflected in the shared experiences that I have had within the campus community. And I believe that the resulting tools match the kinds of things that we do. And so I'll close by saying that I absolutely love the conversations that I have with my students. Conversations in the classroom, in the office, in the labs, in the hallways. Because in these conversations, I get the joy and privilege of sharing with our students the great discovery of who they are. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. The next three people I'm going to call up are students and a recent alumna, Shaylin Perenick, Cameron Dickerson, and Liliane Pari Umahosa. In that order, those of you who are watching and waiting. While I do so, you'll see behind each of them on the screen a graphic that shows the flexibility and potential at Juniata as reflected in their experiences here. It'll be different colors. It'll be their stated purpose, some of the relevant coursework and the POE-ish kinds of things, and then some of the experiences that they've added to those, to that plan. And so I hope that will help reflect. And I bring it up over the next few years. So we'll start with Shaylin.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin with a little story. It's a little embarrassing, so don't laugh at me too much. In high school, I was friends with Adina Delosier, a fellow Juniata grad with whom I've remained very close friends. One summer, I went on vacation with Adina's family to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. This was the first time that I had traveled further south than Maryland. So as we began crossing state borders, I got super excited about this monumental experience in my life. However, my excitement quickly turned to confusion. I began to ask, why have we not traveled through Georgia? We went through Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia, and now we're here. But I thought we had to go through Georgia. Needless to say, I have not heard the end of this. Just recently even, I was waitressing at a local bar in Altoona, and I overheard Adina's mom telling her whole group of friends about my pitiful knowledge of the South. Thankfully, though, within my 4 short years at Juniata, I would not only travel to New Orleans for a spring break service trip, but I would also study abroad in Mexico, and I would fall in love with the community in the Dominican Republic. For 3 years, I traveled on Juniata's cultural learning tour to the Dominican Republic. This was a 2-week service trip in which we lived with host families in Santo Domingo and served in a rural community not too far from the city. I also went back to visit twice on my own, started a club here at Juniata to raise money for the community, and I was even able to take my dad and brother along with me. For me, this was not just a trip. This was a life-changing experience, an experience that I would not have had without my Juniata education. Juniata's new brand encourages students to discover their passions, develop their intellect and their heart, and to think about who they are. Thanks to my Juniata experience, I've discovered my passion for helping others, fundraising, and planning community events. And this has led to my success in my current position as the AmeriCorps Community Outreach Coordinator at United Way of Blair County. Thanks to my Juniata experience, I've also developed my heart, most especially through my travels to the Dominican Republic. I've come to love a community of people who live a very different lifestyle from my own. And finally, thanks to my Juniata experience, I've been able to write a very powerful story, one in which a small-town girl from Central PA not only discovers that Georgia is much further south than North Carolina, but also discovers who she is in this beautiful, crazy world. Thanks.
Thank you, Shaylin. Cameron Dickerson.
Hi. My journey began at Juniata with a postcard. Prior to this, I'd never heard of Juniata. It was nowhere on my radar, no idea about it. But my mom thought it would be a good idea for us to come out and see what they were offering, so we did. We went up for one of the department days, the bio one, and while we were waiting for the day to begin, we were in the enrollment center, and I was speaking to a man who I assumed was the father of another prospective student. That man was President Troja. Hey. So yeah, after the day, between touring the campus, sitting in on some courses, and just getting to speak with professors, I knew immediately this was where I wanted to be. So applications turned to acceptances and scholarships came, and I was able to come here. Orientation flew by, and very quickly I was moving in. This was the next time I was speaking to President Troja, and he was reaching to my hand to grab a suitcase to take it up to my room. That won't happen at another school. I guarantee that. Now, I entered freshman year as a pre-med student. Much like many of us, I also realized that was a very bad idea. Very quickly, I determined that was not my path to go, so I started to figure out how to change my POE, and thankfully, because of the close-knit Juniata community, I was able to do it extremely easily. I walked into Dr. Jones's office one afternoon, I introduced myself, and pretty much said, I don't want to study what I'm studying, how do we fix this? Within 10 minutes, my next semester schedule was planned, and I was on track to go into the education pathway. That's where I am now, and absolutely loving it. It was so easy to switch, and I was able to stay right on track because of that ease and doing it early enough. Now, Juniata's pride and joy in my eyes is our hands-on education. Especially looking at from the education path, I was able to get into a classroom that semester and work with students one-on-one, work with them in small groups, and this is now my third placement. So it continues to grow, and we are able to develop our passions and our skills so well. But academics, while important, are not the entire college experience at all. I've met some of my closest friends here, and through them, some of my best experiences have come about. At Juniata, lounging on the quad or just taking a short walk up to the cliffs to enjoy the stars or have a campfire can be just as memorable as one's first mountain day. My first mountain day included flipping a canoe and swimming in Raystown Lake in a pair of jeans for about 20 minutes because, well, we could not flip the canoe back over. Whomever said mountain day was relaxing lied. Now, I've changed a lot over the past few years. Juniata has helped mold me into the person I am today. My professors have challenged me academically and have helped me become a much more creative thinker when facing struggles and issues. Much like the professors, the students have done that as well. Students I've had conversations with have widened my viewpoints and have made me see the world in a completely different way. And ever since I received that first postcard, Juniata has provided that rigorous academic setting I was looking for, while still fully embracing this college experience. I know all the students can agree that there are so many stories we could tell that encapsulate what Juniata is that it's hard to whittle it down to a 3-minute talk. Here we're surrounded by the beauty of our campus, which further resonates all that we do. We're challenged by one another to better ourselves day in and day out. I'd like to believe I've done that over the past 3 years. Now, even more than ever, it's time to begin thinking about who I am. Because of Juniata's culture and environment, I'm able to do that.
Thank you, Cameron. That one clear, consistent voice, Mountain Day is fun. All right, Lilian Pari Umahosa.
Hi, everyone. In 2012, I came to the United States for the first time. Guess where? New York City. Imagine a young girl from a small developing country of Africa landing in such an overwhelming city with tall buildings, people in cars rushing by, taking subways and eating hot dogs on the street. The experience was amazing. So when I went back home to Rwanda, my picture of the US was New York City, period. Then in 2015, I came back to the US for my studies, where I found myself in a small town of Pennsylvania called Huntington. I was surprised by how different it was from New York. It is just a small city in the middle of nature with no subway and no tall buildings. However, I wasn't disappointed at all because within Huntington, I found a little paradise that I call home, and that is Juniata College. Did I say home? Yes, they call it Juniata, I call it home, because I have never felt so at home in a strange country like how I feel at Juniata now. The warm welcome, the sense of humor of the entire community, and the love and support of faculty members make Juniata a unique school where in addition to excelling in our classes, we learn to acquire values of a genuine human being. The reason I'm here is because Juniata gave me the most wonderful gift in the world, the gift of education. Juniata gave me a scholarship to pursue my education, something that I was thirsty for, and something that we don't take for granted in my country and many other developing countries. I come from a horrible background of surviving the genocide when I was only 2. But I didn't allow my background to hold me back. Instead, I am making the best out of it. It takes courage to make it happen, and education makes it easier. When I first received the email that I got a scholarship from Juniata, I cried tears of joy. I knew that it was time for my dreams to become a reality. I knew that it was an opportunity for me to raise my voice for myself and for those who can't raise their voices. With this powerful education, I've been able to turn my obstacles into opportunities and use every single opportunity to a maximum. Now that I'm at Juniata, I grow every single day, and I feel transformed into a better person than I was before. I have no fear for the future because the education I am gaining gives me the strength to be able to face whatever comes my way, no matter how challenging it may be. Juniata, the beautiful, quiet, and powerful place, is preparing me for that, and I'm grateful to be part of such an amazing community. Thank you.
Thank you, Liliane. Now I'd like to invite to the podium Kati Choman, Dean of International Education, to share a story with you. After her, Lauren Bowen, our provost, will follow her to conclude this portion of the celebration. Kati.
So since I began working at Juniata in 2001, for about 16 years, I have believed that I have the best job on campus. I help to facilitate the profound intercultural learning experiences that many Juniata students have during their time here. And as you think about designing your own powerful story, I want you to reflect on why learning about the world is so important to your education at Juniata. The Juniata mission purports to providing you a personalized and individualized education that will help you develop the knowledge, attitudes, and skills to be able to lead a life of service and ethical leadership in the global community. The reason I think I have the best job on campus are all the reasons that you may associate with intercultural learning. So facilitating travel for students to go all over the world, or for students to come, like Liliane, from all over the world. Witnessing the impact or the empowerment that students gain from developing a proficiency in a second, sometimes third or fourth language. And also the self-confidence that they gain through the difficulties in crossing cultures as they navigate those difficulties. The stories of study abroad and international students are exciting. The intense engagement with others of diverse backgrounds provides students an opportunity to view the world in new ways and to acquire empathy in their interactions with others. As educators, we work collaboratively across campus and with all staff across campus to help students navigate these new understandings and to acquire new proficiencies. We partner with people off campus, our trustees, our alumni, with potential employers, and with the local and broader global community. And as an example, I want to share a story with you. So this student came in January, much like a day like today, so cold and dreary, snowing. He needed to develop his English proficiency skills, so he studied ESL courses, and while he was at Juniata, he did it all. He achieved a stellar academic record. He started a scuba diving club. He worked in the TSC and became a student manager. He spent a lot of his free time with his local friendship family. He was supported by the ESL instructors and peer tutors in developing his English proficiency. He was mentored by staff in the TSC. He was guided by his advisors and his instructors, and supported by his friendship family. And I thought, as I was thinking about his story, I'll review his friendship family application from all those years ago. And when he was asked this question, is there anything you would especially like to do with your family? He responded, all kinds of things, exclamation mark. And indeed he did, and all within 3.5 years. Following graduation, he took advantage of opportunities for employment in IT, and he worked for several companies. And as a full-time member of the Administrative Information Services staff today at Juniata, Wen Lee continues to enrich our community and our lives. Staff and faculty at Juniata care deeply about our work. As we empower you to design your own education, we urge you to think about who you are, your place in the human and natural world, and the value and significance of your interactions. Your Juniata experience and education extends far beyond the classroom and your time here, as you plan for a life of meaning and courageous action in the global community. And like Wen Lee, I encourage you to do all kinds of things. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm not going to be so foolish as to disagree with Kati Choman publicly, but let me just say I too have a pretty awesome job. Maybe not the best one, but I get to work with faculty and students and administrators who share their inspiring stories as they did this evening. So please join me in thanking this evening's speakers. We have so much to celebrate this evening. For me, this moment is fundamentally about how we get to live our values and how we understand the promise that's implied in all that we do, which then, of course, suggests that we can and we should be reflective about how we narrate or talk about what we do. So why does it matter that we know our brand or our stories, our collective stories, as Gabe said? Why does it matter that we know these stories and that we are purposeful in how we sustain this brand and these stories? I think it's because when we can speak in one voice, appreciating that we all have our individual stories, of course, but there are common elements, as you've heard this evening. And so when we can speak in one voice and we strive to articulate a clear message, we can more easily reach beyond ourselves and this moment to inspire those to whom we will one day entrust the future of Juniata College. So speaking together in that common voice with the confidence born of knowing that we are all allies in telling our collective story suggests, I think, that we are more effective and more intentional as a community, as a college, as part of this grand educational enterprise. There's energy and there's purpose and there's vision that emerges as a result. So now we will leave this room and we will gather at the flagpole on the quad. And while there, we will raise a flag that carries the new icon that has been developed to reflect this place and to reflect our traditions. And where we fly that flag matters. It's important, both symbolically and practically, because we very purposefully have sustained a campus quad because of our commitment to a space for contemplation, a place for dialogue, a place to just be. I have this fantasy, maybe not today in January, but when it's a little warmer, that we, still lay on the quad and look at the clouds and we just think that the quad is a place where we think about who we are. So at that space, in the center of our campus, look around. You'll see the academic buildings for the arts and sciences. You'll see the library, the athletic facilities, the residence halls, and of course, the beautiful ridges that surround us. So amid that setting, our new flag will fly with an image of this place, which is, of course, at its core, a reminder of our common purpose. So as you leave through these doors, you're going to meet people who are going to hand out flashlights, and the quad will be lit, and the flashlights will be on, and this is a way I think we can further illuminate what a unique place Juniata College is. So let's now reassemble at the flagpole.